Hello, everyone. This is Harriet. I was talking, I forgot to unmute. Looks like we're going to get started here in just a minute.
Hey, Harry, informal, it looks like we'll make it. So whenever you'd like to start, ma'am, I think we should be good.
Sounds good, sir. All right, Ms. Whipple, can you call roll for me, please?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Harriet Parker,
Present.
Marian Perez, Ross Rivera. Oops, there he is. I just saw him come in. I'll come back to him. Jackie Conway. Emily Gold.
Hi, I'm here.
Hello. Dwayne Masters Sr.
I'm here.
Don Pelt.
I'm here.
Daniel Thayer.
Here.
Sukaki Charlie.
Here.
Tashina Jim.
Present.
Ken Quiner.
Good afternoon.
For the record, David Fogerson.
Present.
Samantha Laddick.
Here.
Harriet, we have quorum.
Excuse me, this is Ross Rivera. I just joined in.
Thank you, Ross.
Perfect, thank you, Ms. Whipple. With quorum met, I will open agenda item number 2. This is public comment. This is for discussion only. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the co-chairs. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. To provide testimony during this period of public comment via telephone, please call in anytime after 12:30 p.m. on the day of the meeting by dialing 1-669-219-2599. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 686-738-8625 and then press pound. When prompted for the participant ID, please press pound. When asked to provide public comment, please press *6 to unmute your phone and *6 again when your comments are complete. Please be advised that the YouTube stream will be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you would like to present public comment, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. Are there any public comments?
Madam Chair, Dave Fogerson.
Yes, sir.
I do have one public comment because we didn't get a chance to get on the agenda, but FEMA did the day after or the last day of the Region 9 workshop that NTECC staff will talk about later on today in the meeting. FEMA did release a new strategic plan for tribal relations and liaisons. And so our new preparedness manager, Bill Elliott, has directed our liaison staff to take a look at that FEMA document and then how to make it so that way we have a Nevadaized version of that document and we meet the same intent that they're trying to meet. So hopefully next meeting we'll have some progress on that so we can share that with the group. But if you haven't seen it yet, pretty cool document that FEMA did, street plan directly for how to interact and interface with the tribal nations to ensure we're meeting your needs. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that. I will definitely look for that document. Was that emailed out to everyone? Do you know, or?
Yes.
Bill? Are there any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, I will close agenda item number 2 and open agenda item number 3. This is the approval of minutes. This is for discussion and for possible action. The NTECC will review and discuss the minutes of the June 27th, 2022 NTECC meeting. The NTECC will determine whether to approve the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion regarding the June 27th, 2022 meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve?
Don
Ken
Pell,
Clark.
motion to approve.
Ken with Washoe Tribe will second that.
Gentlemen, okay, I apologize, give me 1 second. I apologize for that. We had an alarm going off. Okay, so I'm sorry, we had a motion by Don Pelt and second by Ken for approval. All those in favor, may I hear aye, please?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Minutes have been approved. Thank you for that. I will close agenda item number 3 and open agenda item number 4. This is a discussion of recommendations from the NTECC for tribal representative on the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee, or NRAC. This is for discussion only. Presenting is co-chair David Fogerson. Co-chair Fogerson will discuss the need for tribal representation on the NRAC and solicit input from the individual NTECC members on possible tribal representatives to serve on the NRAC. Chief, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. David Fogerson for the record. So NRAC has traditionally always had 2 tribal liaisons or 2 tribal members on it. And with the recent retirement of, and I'm just drawing a complete blank on his name from the Reno Sparks Indian Call, David Hunkup, who'd been around forever. I need to fill 1 more spot. We have Ken from the Washoe Tribe on there as 1 liaison. So I'm looking for anybody that'd be interested in, or if you know of somebody that'd be interested in serving on NRAC. You don't necessarily have to be on both committees. So if you have an up and comer, like a couple of people that had mentioned they might have, I'd be willing to hear that names. That way I can see if they're interested and would be willing to be appointed to NRAC. Unlike this committee, to be on NTECC, you have to be recommended and approved by your tribal chairman. The tribe has to send me a note saying they would like you to be their representative on the committee. NRAC, that is not a requirement. It's all at the pleasure of the chief's position. So if anybody is interested, I'd love to hear from you. Or if you know of somebody that's interested and you want to push them in front of the bus, that way they take one to go to that meeting. I'd really love to have Harriet on it, but we got Harriet on the Homeland Security Commission and on this one, so I don't want to push her too far out. And we really are striving to make sure that NRAC and NTECC agendas are almost mirrored to one each another, but obviously want to make sure that on the NTECC side, we're really talking about how that affects the tribal nations, as opposed to NRAC talks about how it affects the feds, the states, the cities, the county, the tribes, our private partners, public health, everybody in the whole world of emergency management. So I look at this as the laser focused part of the NRAC, and you can see we have a pretty large agenda today because it mirrors the last NRAC agenda to try to make sure we're accomplishing that and making sure we're meeting your needs. So if anybody is interested, please let me know.
Chief, when do we need to get a name to you? Is there a deadline or?
No deadline, so I'll take it as a first come, first served basis. But if I don't hear from somebody in a couple of weeks, then I'll start making phone calls to start seeing if we can't shoulder tap somebody to do that. I know the Washoe tribe said that they might have somebody that could do it. And if not, I'd love to have somebody else to fill that role,
Dave, can I comment?
please.
So this is John Backett from DEM. Just so everybody's aware, the Interstate Mutual Aid Committee was also looking for someone and similar to this. I know it's not going to be off topic though, Dave. Sierra already stepped up for Reno Sparks Indian Colony. So for your request of having someone else is kind of the whole point to this, to make sure we're having representation from around the state, not the same person on every committee.
But we're there from everyone on top.
Nope.
Okay, does anyone on the meeting, does anyone know of anyone? Can you, like Dave said, throw someone under the bus? Anyone? Okay, well, thank you, Chief, for that. And hopefully we'll get someone on there and you won't have to make those phone calls.
Thank you.
So with that, I guess I will close agenda item number 4 and move on to agenda item number 5. This is the Nevada Emergency Preparedness Association, or NEPA. This is for discussion only. Presenting is Matt Williams, president of NEPA. Mr. Williams will discuss NEPA's mission, values, and the benefits of joining NEPA. Mr. Williams will discuss their current activities, as well as the date and location of the 2023 Nevada Preparedness Summit. Mr. Williams, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. For the record, I'm Matt Williams. I am the president of the Nevada Emergency Preparedness Association. My day-to-day job is actually as the organizational resilience coordinator for the University of Nevada, Great Basin College, Western Nevada College, and the Desert Research Institute. Prior to that, you may know me from my years as a planner at DEM. NEPA was founded in 2016 to improve statewide resilience through professional development of emergency preparedness practitioners within the state. We do this through 2 main ways. The first is professional certification through our Nevada Emergency Certification program. You can either get a full certification or an associate level certification. The certifications mirror the ones offered by the International Association of Emergency Managers, and we even tailor changes to them based on changes made at the IAEM level. For instance, we removed our essay requirement earlier this year to mirror the removal by IAEM. To earn certification, you must possess the knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform within an comprehensive emergency management program. The associate level is for those who are in EM but lack that work and training experience necessary for full certification. To ensure that it's beneficial to Nevadans, the majority of your work in the EM field has to be within Nevada. The second most well-known and utilized of our ways that we get to people in the state is through our yearly preparedness summit, which is always the most fun. The summit usually is in the first quarter of the year, and we alternate between the north and the south of the year, or south of the state each year. This past February, we were in Henderson, and this coming year, 2023, will be March 21st to the 22nd here in Reno on the campus of the University of Nevada. The summit usually ranges between 2 to 3 days and allows for emergency management folks to listen to presentations from other members of the field, including those from the private sector and other closely related fields such as public health. And these speakers usually come from throughout the state, and we've also been fortunate enough to have speakers come from around the country as well. The most important aspect for me personally, and I think a lot of people would agree for the summit, is the networking abilities. You know, it allows emergency managers throughout the state to commiserate and discuss things during quiet time, which is very important to, you know, get that out there. And it goes along with the theory that I was told early in my EM career that it's harder to say no to someone when you've met and spent time with them. And so I think that's really beneficial to emergency management within our state. I know this past summit we had in Henderson was had the largest attendance by tribal nations since I started working with NEPA. And I want to thank Josie and Jay at DEM and Crystal at FEMA for getting the word out to the tribal nations for that. And I hope that we can build on that going forward. As I said, we'll be in Reno next year. So if you'd like to attend or to speak at our summit, so we can understand what you're doing for your citizens, I think that would be vitally important to our organization and to those throughout the state. So if you'd like to join or attend our summit or to speak, we're at preparenv.org. With that, I will answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. So can we sign up now for the summit, or is, did I miss that part? I apologize.
No apologies. Yes, you can sign up now. We opened it towards the end of the last summit in February. So we have early bird registration, they call it. And so we'll be doing that throughout the rest of the year. So it's a slightly less expense for those who want to attend. And we will be registering up until a few weeks up until the summit in March. And we will be taking speakers through the end of the year. So if you'd like to register to speak, there's a link on our website and you can register to speak there.
And what type of topics or speakers are you looking for? Any particular theme that you're looking for, or anything in preparedness?
Anything in preparedness, basically, you know, if it's an interesting topic, you know, we as we have a board that discusses the summit planning. And so we will discuss any topics there that are of interest. It's usually just general preparedness topics. We do have one presentation with Amber Torres. We're going to be discussing climate change and tribal nations. She's agreed to present for us next year. And so anything that would be of interest to our EM community, I think would be beneficial.
I agree, sir. Are there any questions for Mr. Williams? Okay, well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate the information. And yes, sir.
It's John Backett. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We were muted when I tried to speak. Matt, if you could work with Josie and Jay and let them know basic information on how many tribal members we have that are current NEPA members. And that way that'll help them do some of the outreach on NEPA's behalf, including sharing the information on the current committees, the regional representation through that effort that you guys have put together, so that we can try to get more tribal participation in that effort as well.
I will do that. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. That is a very good point. It made me think I better check my membership and make sure I'm current. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. Okay, well, if there are no other questions for Mr. Williams, thank you, sir. We will close out agenda item number 5. And I will open agenda item number 6. This is discussion on the status of the Nevada Division of Emergency Management, Homeland Security's efforts to assist our tribal nations. This is for discussion only. Co-Chair Fogerson, I apologize, is interested in hearing feedback on the status of the DEM HS programs as they relate to tribal nation protection, prevention, response, mitigation, and recovery efforts for emergency management, homeland security, and public health preparedness. The NTECC members are encouraged to discuss ways that DEM-HS can improve its efforts to better support their needs. Co-Chair Fogerson will solicit input from individual NTECC members on possible tribal representatives to serve on the NTECC. Chief Fogerson, I give the floor to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry for the long worded legal definition of what we're going to talk about, but really I got 3 questions for everybody. One is, who are we missing from the NTECC group that should be here? Because each tribal nation has the ability to have one representative on NTECC. And so I want to see if there's people that we were missing that we should be having on here. The second question is, what are we doing that is good? Or I'm sorry, what are we not doing that would be good to start doing to help you? And what are we doing that hurts you? So we'll start with the first question. Does anybody know of anybody that's out there in the emergency management world on the tribal nations that isn't represented on our group here that we should reach out to them and their tribal chairperson to see about getting them appointed to this committee for us? And that's a question that if you want to consider and think about and talk about with your friends over time, you know, anybody, this committee has up to 1 seat for every tribal nation on it. So we always try to keep it as full as we can, but we also want to make sure people are going to attend the meetings and participate. So I'll let you guys kind of help recruit us with the right people, so we do have good representation throughout Nevada on this committee to advise the division on how to better help you. So the second question is, what do we need to do? What are we not doing that we could be doing to help you? The tribal liaison staff is knocking out of the park here because no one has any ideas on what we should be doing. Ross.
Two things. You said you need some more representatives from the tribes. I don't think our tribe is represented there. Second of all, I've asked this question on several things, and you've helped me out with like the hazard mitigation, us joining in with Pipeline County and Eureka, where I'm working on that, haven't heard back. And the same thing as the Thera. I think small tribes like we and like the Wells Band and stuff, where we can join in with the respective counties and just kind of piggyback, I think would save a lot of legwork for each of these tribes. And we're looking at them anyways for assistance. So I think if we work together a little more, I think it would be a big benefit to the tribes, the counties, and the state all together.
100%, Ross. And you're coming to the Elko Preparedness Summit next week, right?
Yes. Yeah, we plan to be there.
Because that will be the place where we get to have people to have this conversation, because that's absolutely, I think, spot on. If we start looking at these plans, how do we get force multipliers and join together instead of having to have some needs?
Hey, Ross, it was good seeing you on last Friday, by the way, in the grocery store in Ely.
Yeah, yes.
Pleasant surprise, but I think your comment is spot on, and I would ask that we get some support from the people on this panel working with their tribal leadership to help them understand there's no loss in autonomy by joining a county and being an annex of that plan. It's a huge benefit of being incorporated into that effort and making sure all of your planning efforts are legally covered, as well as supported through FEMA when it becomes your tribe's time of need and they have everything in place. I think there's a lot of misperception and misunderstanding by tribal leadership that they're giving something up, but you still maintain everything. You're just doing a lot less work and you're completely represented in that countywide plan. So I would ask that what you said, we continue to echo throughout the higher levels of your tribal leaderships and make sure that that's understood and recognized.
Yeah, at the same time, I think FEMA needs to be reminded, because that seems like that's the stumbling block for a lot of that.
And we'll probably get into that when we start talking about the workshop.
Sure. Just
I
comment.
I have so much to say there in that comment, Ross.
Yeah, you asked me.
Oh, absolutely. So is there anything else that we're not doing you think we should be doing? Is that second question. And if you don't want to talk here, I'd love it. You got John's email, you got my email, you got Bill Elliott's email, you got Josie's email, you got Jay's email. Let us know, because we're here to help. So the third question is, are we doing anything that we should stop doing? Are we doing anything that hurts you? Anything that we shouldn't be doing anymore because you guys can do it better yourselves? Or it affects something, one of your operations or anything? And again, if you don't want to talk here, you got all our contact information. Love to hear from anybody on what we're doing, what we're not doing, we should be doing, and what we are doing and we shouldn't be doing anymore. So I appreciate the ability to have these conversations. We did it last week at the, or 2 weeks ago at the Region 9 workshop. We did it last year at the Nevada Preparedness Summit. And I just want to continue to have this, and I'll probably make it a standing item on this agenda that we always ask, what are we doing that we should stop doing, and what are we not doing we should start doing? So thank you, Chair Parker, for the time.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to both Mr. Rivera and Mr. Bakadal. I want to comment just quickly that regarding the hazard mitigation plan, the Las Vegas Paiute, we were able to become an annex under Clark County, and we are doing the update right now. And it's also a good opportunity to meet your partners in your area. And we always say it's better to meet them beforehand than the day of. So I was able to, during those trainings and during our workup for our hazard mitigation, I was able to meet a lot of our partners and made some good friends. So that's a good point. So I'm glad you both brought that up, and I appreciate that. Is there any other discussion regarding the preparedness? Okay, so thank you, Chief. Then I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 6, and we'll open agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 7 is the Community Wildfire Defense Grant, CWDG program. This is for discussion only. Presenting this afternoon is Melissa Navis, Tribal Relations Specialist with the U.S. Forest Service. Ms. Navis will provide information to the NTECC about the CWDG program that provides grants to at-risk communities to develop or revise a community wildfire protection plan, which is a CWPP, and to carry out projects described in the CWPP that is less than 10 years old. Ms. Navis, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the time to share this update with you. My name is Melissa Navis. I'm the Tribal Liaison for the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest. And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen right now, just general information. Can everyone see that? Or anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So sorry, this is covering it up here. I just want to share an opportunity to work with us on the Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest regarding community wildfire defense grants. So they are accepting applications right now, and I can send also links to Sharian. It's regarding grants to assist with the update or implementation of community wildfire protection plans. So this is an opportunity to help address local, private, and tribal needs in our shared stewardship priority landscapes. So if there's anyone who has questions regarding this, just a couple of highlights. Right now, they're awarding up to $250,000 in individual grants. There is recorded webinars that are sharing specifically more instructions on how to go through the grants process. The Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest has 2 identified shared stewardship priority landscapes. One is the Carson District, which is near Carson City along the Sierra Front. And the second wildfire priority landscape that has been identified is the Ruby Mountains, Mountain City, Jarbidge Ranger District, which is around Elko and encompasses the Ruby Mountains. So if there's any questions regarding that, the district ranger is Josh Nichols. And if anyone has any kind of general conversations or need me to connect you to the right person, I'd be more than happy to do that. I just wanted to share that there's this opportunity right now that is being discussed, and I wanted to just take a moment to update everyone here. So This is just, like I said, a general overview. If anyone has further questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Ms. Navis. I do believe that there was a question earlier, not a question, but a comment that you were having technical difficulties. So I think they sent out the a link. So you should have received that in your email. I believe Ms. Whipple sent that out to everyone beforehand. Are there any questions for Ms. Navis? Okay, well, hearing none, I thank you so much for that information. We really appreciate that. And thank you for all that you do for us. We really appreciate it. All right. Thank you, thank you. So I will close out agenda item number 7 and move on to agenda item number 8. Agenda item number 8 is discussion of potential legislative requests for the 2023 session. This is for discussion only. Presenting is Co-Chair David Fogerson. Co-Chair Fogerson will solicit input from the NTECC on legislative needs related to the emergency management and homeland security for the 2023 session. Chief Fogerson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. David Fogerson for the record. I want to have this, we've had it on a couple other agendas as well. I want to continue to have this just as a placeholder, so that way we can continue to discuss any legislative needs that we identify. Want to see what we need to adjust and confirm. But we are looking at some changes to the State Disaster Identification Coordinating Committee, which is the reunification group post large event incident. There's some concerns back and forth with HIPAA that we want to try to figure out how to clean up. So we've got a kind of a placeholder for that. And we are asking for a deal of additional state revenue in order to offset our grant drawdowns. That way maybe we can start spending more money with our locals and holding less money with us, moving some of our contract staff to full-time employment. And then we got small little ones that are in the works as ideas for fixing some school safety plan issues, stuff like that. But I want to see if there's anything specific to our tribal nations that we need to make sure that we're including with our requests. That way we are inclusive of everyone. So if anybody has any ideas of any bill draft requests, remember we only see the legislature every 2 years. So we have 2 years and 120 days to make any change to the state law. And then after that, we got to wait another 2 years. So the more we talk about what we might want changed, the better off we'll be prepared for it. So open for any ideas or any comments from anybody. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions, any discussion for Chief Fogerson regarding the legislative requests? And sir, same question, is there a deadline of when, I mean, obviously it's for the 2023 session, but I mean, is there like a hard deadline, or when is the latest we can get information to you if we need to?
There always seems to be a way to make changes once we start getting in the process. So right now it's at the idea level, but all the way through until the ending gavel on the last day at midnight, there's always people you can talk to and ways we can do it. So anytime in the next few months would be perfect. Obviously, the sooner the better. So that way, if we have to start doing all the politics and talking to people and working through everything, that always works out best. But it is the legislative session, so there's always things that we can put in and hither and yon. Safe statement.
This is Ken, Washoe Tribe for the record. Can you give us some examples of current or previous legislation that was emergency management related that in tribal that we might be interested in, might prime the pump of our thought processes?
Absolutely. You know, I don't think we've done anything really tribal related besides the establishment of this coordinating council to provide advice and counsel to the chief's position. I think everything else has been more broad brushed and looking at, you know, how do we relay information back to an emergency responder about who the patients are involved in an incident, the ability to spend money in a disaster, the ability to declare disaster, how we declare disaster, immunity protections, the Interstate Mutual Aid Committee, where we are able to share resources statewide that we would encourage every tribe to sign on to. That's another one that was kind of it wasn't tribal specific, but had a tribal piece to it where every local government is automatically enrolled in the mutual aid plan, but tribal governments are only enrolled if you send us a letter asking to be enrolled, and we would love for everybody to be enrolled in that program so we can share resources back and forth. So it's all those kinds of things, Ken. If you look at NRS 414, 414A, and 239C, those are our three predominant chapters that we play in. We got some other smaller ones here and there. Those are the three big ones that give you an idea of what our authority is and what we do. And you can see that there's not a lot that's specific to tribes, but you know, most of this stuff should be broad enough for us to do both. But I just want to make sure we're not forgetting something that we might not know about. Sorry for a long-winded, brief answer, Ken.
No, thank you.
Thank you for that. And Chief, could you repeat those? You said 414, was that A?
Yeah, there's three predominant chapters that we play in. NRS 414, NRS 414A, which is the interstate mutual aid system, and then NRS 239C, which is Homeland Security.
Thank you for that. I didn't realize that there was 414 and then 414A. So I'm thinking, where was the other number? I missed it. So thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Chief. I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 8 and open up agenda item number 9. This is the results of the FEMA Region 9 Tribal Partner Workshop that was held in Reno in August of 2022. This is for discussion only. Presenting is Co-Chair David Fogerson. Chief Fogerson will provide the NTECC with an update and have a discussion regarding the topics addressed at the FEMA Region 9 Tribal Conference held in Reno, Nevada. Chief, I'll turn it back over to you.
Absolutely, thank you, ma'am. And I'll open this one, and then I want to open up to our tribal liaison staff, and prior to Crystal from FEMA and John, who was there as well. And then, you know, Danny Thayer was there, Don Pelt was there, Harry, you were there. We had a lot of representation from Nevada at the FEMA conference. So I want to open it up for discussions about what we thought about it and what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, how we do better in the future. But FEMA Region 9, which is California, Arizona, Nevada on the continental US, plus Hawaii and all the islands, the territories, held a tribal conference. They've always done one in the past for our Pacific Coast partners, and they've gone out, taken California and then all the territories and met in Hawaii and had discussions about how they can improve those relationships there. It's the first time they actually brought together California, Arizona, Nevada, the states, the tribes, and the region to have that same discussion with us on tribal relations. And so we had the Director of Emergency Management, my peer from Arizona, myself, and then John's peer from California, their deputy came over as well, or their assistant deputy director came over as well, and a lot of their staff, along with great representation from tribal nations. And I think we got a lot out of it. I know I got a lot out of it by seeing the interactions between the other state partners and their tribes to see how we could do things better. But would love to hear from everyone what their experience at the event was, what they thought we could do better, and what their takeout from that conference was as well. John, you always good for about 1,000 words.
Sure. So this is John Backett from DEM. I gave kudos to our staff and the participation along with Crystal and all the former tribal employees that we've had, from Jackie with Fallon and Cassandra Darrow, with the efforts from the people that we've had in those roles. It was quite refreshing to hear the struggles. I know we're not perfect, so don't take this out of context, but the struggles that California, FEMA, and Arizona are having with their relationships and lack of staff inside of their state agency to help support the tribes with preparedness, response, recovery, mitigation. It was fantastic to hear when we got together, little issues that we could work on better, But in the open forum, the way that those other agencies were taking a lashing. And then when I asked our Nevada delegations that were there from tribes, you know, how does that reflect onto us? What do you see? What can we do better? The feedback was great that at least we're putting forth an effort. We've got staff that are in the field doing everything they could, even during COVID, to help support our tribes. They get answers in a timely fashion. So similar to what we say around here a lot is the praises are great and we appreciate that, but we're really trying to see what do we not do well enough for you as independent tribal nations and what can we do better? And so we're looking for that type of information, and it's been kind of quiet. We're not hearing that, which was great in a public setting, but we would love to hear it on how Josie and Jay can directly impact you, how Crystal can impact you as a federal employee with you being your own nation, and then how can we help you and how can we get the counties to help you at more of a local level and more of a supportive inside our state level. So those discussions were great. The availability for FEMA to bring people to discuss on the specific grants, the recovery processes, the technical assistance that's available to everyone, I think was a first-time effort. So kudos to them for stepping up and doing that, whether it was well received or not. Like Dave said, it was the first time they've done it. So everything's always going to kind of suck the first time we do it. And I thought it went really well. The environment was great. The food was good. The people were amazing. I've heard and seen things I haven't before. So I really appreciated the opportunity to sit in and listen on the 2 days I was there. And I would hope that you two, Jay and Josie, have some further comments on what you saw before. Maybe we can draw some more verbiage out of our partners here.
No, I just thought it was very good that FEMA was prepared to present services and different opportunities that FEMA has generated for the tribals to start taking a part of. Like I said at the conferences, that we are just now coming out of COVID, and from COVID sparked a bigger interest in emergency management and planning and such, that now the tribes are saying we're ready to take advantage of these things. So it was just great bridging those two, the communities and FEMA.
Good. Yeah.
I don't think I have too much to add. I feel the same as everybody else that's spoken so far. I think the biggest thing that was verbally kind of confirmed with everybody that we've met was just making that face-to-face connection with each of our tribal communities, different state and local partners. So I felt like that was really impactful, and then we were able to take a lot from this workshop, the feedback and everything, and put it into our own application, our petitions to better help our community.
You know, one of the things that I really took home from is we forget about the culture of what we do. And I think this goes back to what Ken was asking about the NRS versus tribal. But one of the presentations was about reintroducing fire in the natural landscape. And one of the California tribes had a large number of arson fires that CAL FIRE actually would send their fire investigators out to train there because they had so many fires. When the tribe decided to allow people to actually reintroduce fire back into the landscape by having a fire department, but then introducing their cultural specific ability to start it and the ceremonies, all of a sudden their arson fires went down because they allowed the tribe to be the tribe. And that really struck me hard that, we got a rule that, nope, you can't have a fire. Yet when they reintroduced it the right way, they actually wound up having less fires in the end that were uncontrollable. And they did a lot of good cleanup work around the site. And I think we sometimes lose track of that nexus to our cultural issues, that we can say that we don't want to have a large wildland fire, but how do we say that in the right way so that way we don't have issues? And it was a good 30-minute long video. I mean, it was a really nice video that was really well prepared, and it was a nice, it really kind of smacked me upside the head to start thinking things a little differently than just, we're going to do it this way, we're not going to do it that way. So, Ms. Parker, I'd love to hear from you or from Don or from Danny or anybody else that was there with us, or Crystal. What were your thoughts on the workshop? Hopefully everyone's done the little critique of it. So that way we can hopefully have it back again, because I thought it was very valuable.
I agree. I do have a few comments, but before I bring up mine, I would like to hear from others that were there. So anyone that's on the call, can you please unmute and tell us about your experience and what you thought of it? Please.
Yes, Daniel. I think the conference went really good and food was great. I enjoyed meeting a lot of other people and some old friends and some old coworkers. What I would like to see is somewhat more of our local jurisdictions. Say like here within Washoe County, and I'm pretty sure Don can say the same. You know, when we do have incidents that do occur, I know we can work closely with our local EOC and then also with the state. However, sometimes there seem to be communication barriers. I'll give you an example. You know, we had a large wildland fire here about 3 years ago. And Truckee Meadows was on scene and they wanted to cut some dozer lines. And they were very unaware of who our local culture monitors or local TIPO officers that they can contact. And we had to hold off dropping the dozers until we got the mapping in our local area for the cultural sites. But then at the same time, when they started cutting the dozer line, we didn't have that representation there, you know, to make sure that they're not, or follow up, make sure that they're not disturbing any of our local cultural sites. That was one thing, you know, that maybe we can look forward to, trying to do those type of trainings with our local jurisdictions in the future. And I know that Sparks Fire also has to deal, you know, with some of the local areas, you know, just around the Sparks area that do have cultural sites. And the same as with city of Reno, you know, there's somewhat checkerboard through the area. But I mean, that's just my opinion of something I'd like to see in the future. But however, with the conference, I do believe it went really great. I love seeing all the FEMA representation there. A lot of old faces, a lot of new faces, a lot of missing faces, but you know, overall, it was a great conference.
Thank you for that, sir. And I do have to say, I really appreciate you taking me around and showing me the Reno Sparks Clinic and the colony there. I had never been there before, so I learned a lot and I really appreciate everything that you did for me. So thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to talk about their experience at the conference?
Hey, Harriet, it's John. I do have one more comment. For those that may have felt DEM wasn't well enough represented there, we were told we could bring 5 people, and then California showed up with 75. So if we could have, we would have. We had people actually ask if they could attend, and we were told we could only have 5 people there. So I want people on this group to know that there was a lot of interest from our staff to attend and be available for Q&A, and we had to tell them no because of our direction. So I apologize for any misrepresentation that you may have seen.
And you know, John, that's a very valid point. Maybe one of the things we look at is maybe we have, because we got the Nevada Preparedness Summit that's 50-50 between NEPA and DEM. Maybe we look at, just like we did in Fallon and had that one-day tribal summit, maybe we look at having the Nevada Tribal Summit. Again, that's a little bigger advertising, and we bring in our locals and we bring in us and have that discussion. That might be something we look at doing. Because that was a disappointing thing to find out when we showed up and saw the banks of people from other states, and they're limited.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So thank you for bringing that up because that is a good point. Is there anyone else that would like to talk about their experience at the summit or the conference?
Ken from Washoe for the record. I just want to echo what everybody's been saying. It was a fantastic event. It was really great to meet people and rub shoulders. We did bring, because we're local close by, I was able to bring my whole team there, but there was some confusion on how many people could attend. And we were told, well, they'll fund one person, but their other funds were on my dime, which is fine because it was well worthwhile. My whole team learned a lot and gained a lot of good, great information. But it would be awesome if we could bring more representation from our tribes and from NDEM and the local state of Nevada. That would have been a lot better because California was very robustly represented. But it was also great to rub shoulders with them. I would second the idea of a Nevada one, but I did like the idea because we are a Nevada California tribe. I did like that we were able to rub shoulders with our Cal OES folks as well. One big thing that I thought was very hopeful is with the Cal OES was talking about the equity in the FMAG and the cost of the fire losses. You know, right now when there's a wildfire, only thing they measure in the damages is the infrastructure building loss, where I think the tribes have put a lot more value in the loss of their land, the pine nuts, the wildlife, and there's no cost value being associated with that. So when we tally up, Tamarack and these other fires, there was no buildings lost, but there was a lot of cultural connection and tribal lands that were destroyed. And if we could somehow get that recognized as a value, that'd be a huge plus for tribes across, because that's, they don't value the infrastructure as much as they value their cultural lands. But I thought it was a great opportunity and great program. That's all.
Thank you, sir, for that. You bring up some good points, and I agree. I echo what everyone else said. I had a great time. I was really happy to see a lot of people, and people I haven't seen since 2015. I mean, let alone not since COVID, but I ran into people that I haven't seen since 2015 that I met previously at other events, and have helped me over the years. Truly grateful for that. I was glad that California was there. As I mentioned, those were some of the tribes that I had worked with prior. And as you mentioned, Chief, that video of the fire, that was very educational. I really learned a lot from that video, and I think it hit home. The Native peoples have been doing this for centuries and taking care of the land, and so let those tribes take care of the land and do it the way that that works. And so that was very great educational video. I was actually trying to look for it to see if they were going to send it to us, because I had mentioned it to someone else at the Las Vegas Indian Center, and was talking about it. So I haven't had a chance to look. I don't know if you guys know if they were going to provide that video or not, but that was a great video and great conference, great food. I had a great room with a nice view, a fabulous view of the parking structure. And as I mentioned, I was happy to travel over to Reno Sparks, take a look there, and was kind of funny hearing the struggles. I mean, not funny, I shouldn't say funny, but it was interesting, the struggles that California was having. And I was grateful that we weren't in the room with California when we broke off into our different states. And I thought it was a great conference overall, and I definitely look forward to more conferences like that. Was there anyone else that had anything to say about the conference before we move on? Okay, well, hearing none, thank you everyone for that update. I really appreciate it. And with that, I will close out agenda item number 9 and open up agenda item number 10. This is the California Office of Emergency Services, Cal OES, and DEMHS information exchange session. This is for discussion only. Co-Chair Fogerson is presenting this afternoon, and the NTECC will be provided an overview of the Cal OES and DEMHS information exchange session. Chief, I'll give you back the floor.
And I'm going to turn it over to John Backendall.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. John from DEM again. So on tax day, April 15th, Dave, myself, and Jared, we call ourselves the executive staff at DEM. We traveled over to Cal OES and met them at their emergency operations center over in California. And it was our first meet and greet and discussion with high-level personnel to go over the impacts from the disasters that have happened over the last couple of years on top of COVID, but the multiple wildland fires that were encroaching into Nevada, came into Nevada on another case, and then also snow events that we've had in the Tahoe Basin, and then future events that we're planning for training and exercise. So it was driven off of the Caldor Fire and the Tamarack fires, as well as what we jokingly called Snowmageddon, which was a large snowstorm that actually shut down all of the highways around South Lake Tahoe and stranded a number of Californians and Nevadans for 8 hours on the highways, unable to move with multiple more feet of snow coming. So we sat through and discussed the events, how they took place, the leadership decisions that were made, and what we could have done better to help react and respond better and more appropriately to save property. Thank God there was no life loss, but to save property and environment through this, these impacts of last 2 years. We agreed that we were going to continue to do this at least on a semi-annual basis and start to get more and more people involved. So we did have another meeting later in the year that I'll discuss, but we also want to involve our tribes, our counties, and our ESFs to make sure that they're hearing the same thing we're hearing. They have a voice at the table to help California understand the impacts to Nevada by things that are being done on that imaginary fence line on the other side. We have developed a sheltering agreement in California and Nevada, and then California is doing the same thing with Oregon as well for bi-state relations. This is now out for review from the ESF 6 mass care personnel from both states to the local jurisdictions that have been impacted by sheltering residents from other states. And then on June 30th, we met at the Parasol Room in Incline Village. Cal OES now came to Nevada, and this time we brought a multitude of our ESF, our emergency support function partners, to come to the table and discuss the different reactions and interactions again from those events. We went through the AARs that were published by the states, by FEMA as an oversight of our AAR discussions, then a couple of the local government AARs. We actually went through each of them line by line to discuss what went right, what went wrong, how could we do things better in state-by-state relations. We actually found out that there are 5 things that California and Nevada do similarly in operations. So it kind of set a good framework for us as we tried to work with each other on things that we could change and work better with each other on. So we do have our EMAC and networking that we're going to do some exercises with to make sure that both states are able to work through that in a little bit easier process. California EMACs 5 to 35 times a year, and we EMAC once every 5 to 35 years. So there's a big difference in EMAC operations between the 2 states. The sheltering plan that is almost near final will be a big step in the right direction. We've established a semi-annual meeting schedule, and our operations staff is currently working on the next meeting schedule, agenda, location, to include inviting each other to our state conferences and make sure that we're having tangible goals and outcomes out of these meetings, and we're not just meeting to have meetings. So we've gotten things rolling in the right directions with 2 meetings in the first year. We are looking at getting it together again in the early spring, maybe later this fall. We're trying to work around very large wildland fire in California to make sure we can have all the right partners at the table. And then, of course, the snow impacts around Northern California, Northern Arizona. So as this expands, we want to make sure that we're incorporating the tribal input on the tribal relations so that we can actually help California. So again, they don't have a state tribal program. They have 2 tribal FITs, the FEMA integrated team members from their FEMA Region 9 partners. So we have sent them all of our basis for our program on our contracts, our scope of work, the line of efforts that the staff has taken so far, and shared that with them so they can develop their program. So it's not one-sided where California is helping Nevada with everything. We've actually found some shortfalls that they need some assistance with as well. So it's been a great start, and we're trying to make sure that this maintains not only at a high level, but that it's also trickling down, and our operations is talking to operations, our planning is talking to planning. NDOT is talking with Caltrans, and then eventually California Tribal is meeting with Nevada Tribal, and we have some interstate bi-state relations, especially since we share tribes. So we're really looking at enhancing this as it moves forward, but I think we've got 2 good meetings under our belt to get us going in the right direction. So pending any comments or questions, that's all I have.
Do you have any questions or comments from anyone? Well, I appreciate that update. I know sometimes we forget that there are tribes that are interstate, and so I'm glad that there's efforts being made to help make sure that both are taken care of. So I appreciate that. And since there are no other, yes, sir.
And great point there, Harriet, and that's something that tribal nations, you're sovereign, so you can go directly to FEMA. But as a state, I feel strongly that we should be doing everything we can to help you. And so everybody that is a cross-border or cross-state tribe, that state line doesn't affect me. I know there's some federal rules that get into play on which FEMA region you go into or what IHS region you go into, but if you are a tribal nation and you are in Nevada, we will always help you. And then give you the opportunity to pick us, pick the other state, or pick FEMA, just to add more stuff to your toolbox. As long as you're not duplicating resources, that would be illegal. But as long as you're picking the right one for your tribes, we will always be here to help you. All the way back to 2 years ago when we had the Walker fire and we lost a lot of homes on a California non-recognized tribe. And Crystal Harjo, when she was working as a tribal liaison for us in ITCN, did a lot of work down there in California because they were right on our border. That state line doesn't exist to us. We're going to take care of our tribal nations, just like we ask that you do the same for us. We ever need your help.
I appreciate that, and that's great comments, and thank you for that. Yeah, when I was talking to a California tribe, and I mentioned how I was getting phone calls and emails when we were having rain down here and floods, and they were a little envious. And this was not a border tribe; it was just a specific California tribe, and they were impressed and said that says a lot about our DEM and how we work with them. And I said, this is just my experience. I would receive text messages, phone calls, and emails, and I appreciated that. So thank you for bringing that up and clarifying that. I appreciate that. Any other comments before we move on? Okay. Well, thank you both for that. I will now close out agenda item number 10 and open up agenda item number 11. This is the DEM HS audit results for 2022. This is for discussion only. Jared Franco, DEM HS, is presenting. The NTECC will be provided with an overview of the various audits the DEM HS has undergone in relation to grants management and COVID. Mr. Franco, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the record, it's Jared Franco, Chief Financial Officer for DEM. The Division of Emergency Management undergoes yearly federal monitoring and state auditing because of the visibility, sensitive material, and duties our division is tasked with accomplishing. Currently, we are undergoing a state audit by Nevada's contracted CPA firm, Eide Bailey, for the warehouses we ran and controlled during the pandemic. This state audit has been going on since FY21 and should be wrapped up after their next site visit to the Las Vegas warehouse that will be set at a later date once our warehouse is organized and safe for the auditors to walk through. As of now, we don't see any issues coming from the audit. Starting in 2021, Nevada's contracted CPA firm, Eide Bailey, conducted an audit on our disaster grants, also known as public assistance. The audit lasted for months, finally wrapping up in July of 2022, with the only finding that needed corrective action was reporting the grant dollar amount received to the Federal Subaward Reporting System, or FSRS, in a timely manner to ensure compliance with the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act. Back in April of 2022, 5 personnel from FEMA Region 9 staff were here in our DEM office for 5 days, conducting an on-site financial monitoring review of numerous different grants, including both of the 2000 flood grants, DR 4307 and DR 4303, our COVID disaster recovery grant, DR 4523, numerous years of our emergency manager program grant, as well as our Homeland Security grant program. We just received the findings for that monitoring last week. It came back with 0. They praised us and our staff for all the good work they're doing monitoring these grants and ensuring that they're taken care of. So last week, the preparedness officer from FEMA, who oversees Nevada's HSGP suite, was in the office for 5 days, conducting his monitoring for on the program side. He monitored our Homeland Security grant program with years spanning from federal fiscal year 17 to federal fiscal year 20, and to ensure compliance with the Code of Federal Regulations and Program Guidance. He hasn't issued us an initial or a finalized finding document yet, but he did speak with myself and Deputy Administrator John Backadall about not having any findings and praising us again for the good work the grant staff does here. And with that, that's end of my report.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Mr. Franco? Chief?
Nancy Culberson, just one additional comment there I want to make is that I know the division is out on a recurring basis doing monitoring visits with all of our sub-recipients. So I wanted to have this as a staying item in all our public meetings. That way people understand that we get probably a more intense look at what we get done from what we come out and try to help our partners with. And I thought that if we keep these things up, that way we daylight them, because we're not going to be perfect, no different than when our sub-recipients are going to come out, we're going to find something in a monitoring visit. But it's how do we work together to fix those issues? And our staff is very customer service focused and is very, very good at what they do. As you can see from the audit reports, we're running $100 million worth of grants through the division right now. $100 million. It's actually like 95 point something, but I'm going to call it 100 million because it sounds better. Through our division right now with the same amount of staff as what we were running it before with nothing going on. And I think that speaks volumes, and then to have these monitoring results come back. And so that's a big deal for me to make sure that you know that when we come out and look at you, it ain't us trying to be mean, it's us doing our job for the federal government, and the federal government is doing the same things to us, just maybe with a little more detail. So kudos to Jared, Sue, Sam, and Shay for all the work and all the work your staff is doing for us, because it's really paying off for the state. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for that. Any other questions or discussion for Mr. Franco? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Franco. I appreciate the overview that you gave us. And with that, I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 11. And I will now move on to agenda item number 12. This is an update on tribal health preparedness efforts. This is for discussion only. We will hear from DT Allen, Public Health Preparedness Program Manager. Mr. Allen will update the NTECC on the Division of Public and Behavioral Health preparedness efforts. Mr. Allen, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, this is Emily Gold with State Public Health Preparedness. I'll be giving the updates on behalf of DT for now. Just have a quick few things to share with you guys. So if we have not met before, I'm the Rural Preparedness Coordinator with our program, and I do work with several of our rural counties and have had the honor of working with several of our tribal members as well. So just to get started, we are working with Josie and Jay to identify behavioral and mental health trainings and any other trainings, as well as coordinating the scheduling of our upcoming Rural Preparedness Summit next summer and the Nevada Tribal Resiliency Workshop, just to maximize the opportunity for tribal participation in both summits. Last year, I guess I should say this year, it was just a few months ago, we did hold our Rural Preparedness Summit just a week following the Nevada Tribal Resiliency Workshop. And that went really well. We just heard from a lot of our tribal members that they would prefer to attend both workshops and I guess have them scheduled closer together so we can maximize attendance. So that's what we're working on doing this year. And then drought planning is underway with the coordination of also Josie and Jay to ensure that appropriate tribal input and considerations are included. We're also working with both of our liaisons to identify the tribes within the county boundaries of the newly forming Central Health District for inclusion in their preparedness planning efforts. So right now, I don't really have a lot of information on that new Central Health District, but if you do have any questions for me, please let me know and I'm happy to do some research and find answers for you. I know it's still in its early stages right now, so still trying to figure everything out with that. But again, please reach out if you have any questions. We're also providing monkeypox vaccine treatment and testing information specific to tribes. So far, no tribal cases have been reported at this time. And then we will also be traveling to Elko next week to attend the Thyra and JRA workshop. So hope to see a few of you there. And then if there are no other, or I guess if there aren't any questions, that's the end of my report for you today.
Thank you, Ms. Gold, for that. I appreciate it. Do we have any questions or any discussion? Any questions for Ms. Gold? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much, Ms. Gold. I appreciate that. Good information. I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 12 and open up agenda item number 13. This is an update from the Intertribal Council of Nevada, ITCN. This is for discussion only. Presenting for us today is Clifford Banuelos, Tribal State Environmental Liaison for ITCN. Mr. Banuelos will provide the NTECC with an update of ITCN activities related to the support of tribal emergency management and health clinics. Mr. Banuelos, I give you the floor, sir.
Harriet, this is Shereen Whipple. I don't see Clifford on the call.
Yes, ma'am. I was just looking myself because I was thinking, I don't remember hearing him call in. So, okay, we will, we will table this for our next meeting. We will table agenda item number 13. Okay, I will move on to agenda item number 14, which is an update from Nevada Indian Commission. This is for discussion only. Presenting is Executive Director Stacy Montooth. Ms. Montooth will provide NTECC with an update of NIC activities related to the support of tribal emergency management and health clinics. Director Montooth, I turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. This is Sari Nichols, Nevada Indian Commission. Director Monteith is not with us this afternoon. Hello, everybody. We're doing great things for our tribes, but at this time I have no update as far as any emergency or health clinic updates.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Nichols. I really appreciate that. While we have you on the line, is there anyone that has any questions for Ms. Nichols before we close out this agenda item? Okay, hearing none, thank you so much, Ms. Nichols. I appreciate that. I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 14 and open agenda item number 15. This is the Nevada Public Bodies updates. This is for discussion only. Tribal representatives appointed to the following Nevada public bodies may provide an update on their role with each public body, as well as initiatives and projects that impact Nevada tribes. We will start with the Nevada Resilience Advisory Committee of co-chair David Fogerson, please.
Thank you, ma'am. David Fogerson for the record. No real difference between the last NRAC meeting and this NRAC or in this NTECC meeting. We've covered all the same topics. Although I'm happy to report that I will be appointing Ken from the Washoe tribe to the NRAC as the second trial member, so we can have him report out in future conditions on any differences between the NRAC meeting and NTECC meeting to make sure everyone's up to date.
Thank you for that. Sorry, did I step on someone? Did someone have another additional comment? Okay, any questions before we move on? Okay, hearing none. The next one is B, which is the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security. I have not received information on the next meeting yet. So unfortunately, I don't have anything to report just yet. So hopefully by the next meeting, the next NTECC meeting, I will have some information. With that, I will move on to the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security Finance Committee, co-chair Dave Fogerson.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next meeting for the Finance Committee is actually tomorrow. And all the similar topics that we're talking about here today, with the exception of we're looking to seek approval to spend some additional money within the UASI, which is the Las Vegas metropolitan area. That is a project change request. It's about $150,000. By state history, the DM's chief's position has been able to approve these to $100,000. Anything over that goes to the finance and to the Homeland Security Commission. So that will be that item there. And but I don't think there'll be any impacts on the finance committee to tribal nations. On the Commission for Homeland Security, the agenda is going out here shortly, probably as soon as this meeting's over, and we will have the NTECC or the state tribal liaison staff give a report out on our FEMA Region 9 conference and the state region conference that we had back in Fallon with public health. In a report, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Chief Fogerson? Okay, hearing none. Next, we have Nevada State Emergency Response Commission with Lance Chandler. Mr. Chandler, are you on the line?
Hey, Harriet, it's John Backadall. If Lance isn't available, I can brief everyone out.
Yes, sir, please. Thank you.
All right, so John Backadall from DEM. I am one of the commissioners on the CERC and a member of a couple of their subcommittees. So all of the committees are timely with their updates. They've been reviewing all of the submitted plans, the information that's come in from the counties, as well as the current grant application cycle that's open. They are preparing for the additional grants as well, and multiple legislative actions going into the next cycle for the Nevada State Legislature next year. They've recently gone through all the policies and procedures and tried to update them, hopefully to make things easier on the users on the inside. I do know that there is still discussion out there in regards to the individual tribes applying for funding, being eligible underneath the grant rules for CERC, on top of ITCN's request that they potentially be a grant applicant. The discussions so far have not looked optimistic for ITCN, as it's an organization and it's not a state or a county government. So it's not looking optimistic at this point, but it does not prohibit the tribes by themselves from being applicants underneath CERC. So there's been lots of policy procedure updates, and again, still low on hiring for them as well. They're still only at one current position that is managing the CERC and all the subcommittees underneath that. So that's all I have, Harriet.
Okay, thank you, sir, for stepping in with that update. Good information, I appreciate it. Any questions while we have Mr. Bakadal? All right, hearing no questions, last but not least, we will next move on to Nevada Interstate Mutual Aid Committee with Mr. Eric Wilson. You have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric Wilson with DEM. For the record, I have no update since the last NTECC commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And thank you for coming on the call. All right. With that, I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 15 and open up agenda item number 16. This is an update from Federal Emergency Management Agency Region 9. This is for discussion only. Presenting this afternoon is Crystal Harjo. Ms. Harjo will provide the NTECC with an overview of FEMA Region 9 all hazards activities and upcoming events. This will include training, tribal partner engagements, tribal consultation opportunities, and outreach activities at the regional and Nevada specific level. All right, Ms. Harjo, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Unfortunately, I am stuck at the airport trying to get a rental car so I can go to Region 9's headquarters. So I am unable to report out at this time. However, I will be sending over a report that Shireen can send out to the group, hopefully by end of day tomorrow. Apologies for that. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Harjo. Safe travels for you. Hope you get a upgrade on that rental vehicle. And we look forward to your report. Thank you so much. All right, I will close out agenda item number 16 and open up agenda item number 17. This is updates from the DEM HS Tribal Liaison staff. This is for discussion only. Josie Burnett and Jay Martin. Ms. Burnett and Mr. Martin will be providing NTECC with updates on the following: Nevada Tribal Community Resilience Development Workshop in Fallon, Nevada. Also emergency communication boxes, AKA the disaster boxes. Also COVID PPE, tribal health facility program tour, and outreach, community outreach and monitoring. Ms. Burnett, if you would like to start us off, followed by Mr. Martin, please.
Josie Burnett for the record. Is it okay if I jump out of order? Okay. So I'm going to run down through the list and go down to the tribal health facility program tour update. Item B, I'll be beginning or actually have already begun my tribal health facility site visits to all of the tribal health facility clinics in Nevada. I'm beginning now and hoping to conclude with those in early fall of this year. Just a few things to run through that I will be discussing with each of the tribal health clinics. Checking up on any or updates on any of the various preparedness plans, DIRAs, JRAs, assessing any of the community and clinic health needs, checking in on any PPE and resource needs. And then I'm very interested in looking into any of the tribes that will be holding upcoming pod activities and immunization clinics with COVID and flu season coming up. And then just checking in on any of the health-related training needs, any trainings that myself and Jay could provide to the health clinic and the communities. A few training ideas that we had circulated in mind, which has already been mentioned, mental health and substance abuse, suicide prevention topics, those few have been circulating, so we're looking at some trainings related to those. And then we're also looking at pushing out Stop the Bleed kits, trainings, and train the trainers. So that's something to expect. We've kind of hit the nail on the head a million times over and over, but I'm going to give the floor to each of the tribal clinics to kind of just assess your needs. And our biggest question is, what can we do to better serve your tribal community and be there to support each of you in the best way that we can.
Awesome, yes, so me and Josie both have semi-different duties here, where Josie's focus a lot is on health. So we each have a stake in all of the various activities that we perform here as state tribal liaisons here at DEM. So I believe we've discussed it before, but it's come up again today, is our Nevada Tribal Community Resiliency Development Workshop that we held in Fallon on June 8th. That was the day before the Rural Preparedness Summit. And that meeting was devised out of a request by tribals during our spring tour, out meeting with several tribal peoples, me and Crystal. And so now that was very well received, as we're hearing, and we are going to be working on working with public health and almost doing a collaborative effort with them for next year's Rural Preparedness Summit, as we just heard in our meeting today. So look forward to that. Please send us any sort of information, any sort of suggestions that you could provide to us of what you would like content-wise for that meeting. We'll definitely have, we have our own ideas already. We have a list of things that we'd like to do. Some guidance from NTECC would be great, and what you feel would be most pertinent for us to focus on. And then the emergency communication boxes. So as you guys know, these boxes were put out by ICHR 10 years ago. They contain emergency communication devices, satellite phones, satellites, radios, and various other things to help with an incident response. We are looking for ways to update all of these devices, or well, the whole program as a whole. I just met with several of our various experts here at DEM in communications and such to figure out best avenues to do that. So I would have a question to put out there with you guys, is to let us know what your thoughts on what you feel is the most appropriate move for that. So right now, you guys have satellite phones. However, there is another avenue being suggested that we go with Starlink, which is a service that you could this company provides to set up in a satellite internet communications. And as long as you would have some sort of backup power, either a generator or solar panels, then this could be your backup communications, whether your power goes off and you get disconnected from the grid for whatever reason. So that is something we are playing with. That is something I will be speaking with the Starlink company about to get more information on, to see what that would look like for us. But those are our two options so far that have been put out there, is either replacing the devices or replacing the methods. So please reach out to us and let us know. COVID PPE. So as you know, we did a big haul last spring and this summer to push out the tribal set aside PPE that we had here at DVM in our stores. Half of that went to ITCM. And right now what's going on is we have monies to spend down and we are going to be getting some COVID tests coming in. I believe we have about 900 tests is our order. Or I'm sorry, 900 boxes. So that'd be 1,800 tests, 2 per box is the product we're looking at. So that may be underway, just to put it out there. And with that, we will be doing another PPE distribution, focusing on the health facilities this time and not just the tribal communities. The tour is something Josie's primarily working on her side with the health tour. I may come along depending upon my availability, but we'll definitely be planning another tour come this spring. Depending on how things go with all of these COVID supplies and such, we may be doing a tour sometime in November or December, as well as how the emergency communication boxes go. We may be doing a tour with that as well, depending on how quickly we can get this completed and arrange for trainings and such for that. Otherwise, we'll be looking at the spring again. And then we just like to comment that we just continue to do our best to stay in touch with everybody, doing our community outreach and monitoring incidents out there throughout the communities. We've had some minor to significant flooding in several communities this summer so far, but luckily not much more disastrous beyond that. Knock on wood. That's all I have. Any questions on those?
Thank you for that. And I apologize for going out of order with that. I was just thinking ladies first. I should have gotten with you first and checked to see what order we were in.
No, that is perfect, Harriet, because we both each have a stake in each of those. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So
very good. We jump off of each other very well.
That's great. Thank you. I do have a couple questions myself, and then I'll open it up also. Regarding the Stop the Bleed, is that something that you guys will do? You'll do a train the trainer? Do you have the supplies? Will you supply us with the supplies? Can you elaborate on that just a little bit more, please?
Yeah, Josie Burnett, for the record, we have the Stop the Bleed kits, and then we're also looking at those tribes that wish to participate, and we're putting on Stop the Bleed trainings and train the trainers. And then we were also talking about implementing Stop the Bleed training for the youth as well within the tribal communities.
Okay, I'm definitely interested in that for our clinic. We've looked at it in the past. I'd also like to put out there that something else I'm really looking at that I need for our clinic is like a de-escalation training. Is that something that you can help us with?
Yes, I can. Josie Burnett, for the record, I could definitely look into that for you, Harriet.
Okay, I'll be reaching out to you for help with that. I'll just send you an email, just a reminder. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask about was regarding the black boxes. Jay, do you have a deadline that you need us to contact you regarding which one to go with, or do you have a different plan with how you're going to reach out to us on that?
I will be reaching out to everybody collectively once I have all the figures prepared. We just met our committee that is helping me procure everything, just met this Friday, and we discussed those possibilities. So I will be talking with everyone there. We have our our tribal EMs meeting that we have each month, coming up this week, this Thursday. That's gonna check in with, additional tribals about that as well. We often have people who aren't necessarily always on the NTECC meetings there, so hopefully we have more representation and input with that. But right now, no, there is no deadline for that. I will generate a better timeline once I get more information. That'll definitely be helpful for all of us.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Are there any other questions for Josie or Jay from anyone else? Okay, well, I thank you.
I do have one. I do have
Yes,
one
sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
This is Ross Rivera again. There was email about sandbags. I'm still curious about getting some sandbags.
Yeah, so Ross, did you reach out to IHS about those handbags? They're the ones.
Yeah, then it's reaching clear across the United States, talking to somebody and having some shipped out from clear back east. I thought there was something more near to our community.
Oh, wow, yeah, it should be. It was supposed to be located between us.
Hey, Ross, this is
Yes.
John. Call for the record. We have 10,000 sandbags here. If you're ordering a reasonable amount, we can accommodate that for you.
Yeah, we don't need a lot. It just, the rain did hit us a little bit, didn't impact a lot, but would have been nice to have a few.
Yeah, if you don't mind working through your tribe there, send us a resource request through either Jay and a backup. You can send it to Josie in case he's out and not available. We'll make sure we can meet your needs.
Sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Ross, this is Kid from Washoe Tribe.
Yes.
We reached out to IHS Project Sand Dam, and they had us 2 crates of sandbags within a week.
Yeah. I just didn't need a whole pallet or, the way that person I talked to.
Yeah, they only
talked
ship
to
them
me
in the
about.
crates.
Yeah. I didn't want to get a whole bunch that went to waste. I just wanted to get what we needed. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Were there any other questions for Jay or Josie regarding the workshop or the disaster boxes, PPE, or the tour, community outreach? Any other questions or comments before I close this out?
Yeah, this is Ross Rivera again. I just have to say that Josie and Jay, they've been doing an excellent job communication with me. I think they're doing a great job for you.
I agree. Thank you for that. Absolutely.
Oh, we just said thank you, Ross. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions or comments for Jay or Josie, thank you both for those updates. I really appreciate that, and look forward to hearing from you soon. With that, I'll go ahead and close out agenda item number 17, and I will now open up agenda item number 18. This is for public comment. This is for discussion only. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person at the discretion of the chair. Comments will not be restricted based on viewpoint. To provide testimony during this period of public comment via telephone, please call in anytime after 12:30 on the day of the meeting by dialing the number provided on the agenda. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter the number that was listed on the agenda and then press pound. When prompted for a participant ID, please press pound. When asked to provide public comment, please press *6 to unmute your phone and then *6 again when your comments are complete. Also, please be advised that the YouTube stream will be between 60 and 90 seconds behind the live meeting. If you would like to present public comment, please call in using the above number to hear the meeting live. So with that being said, are there any public comments, whether it's on the call or there in the DEM room? Do we have any comments?
Harriet, no comment here at DEM.
Thank you for that. While we wait for any other comments, I would like to, first of all, thank everyone for participating in this meeting today. I know we're coming off of a holiday. I know it would have been very easy to stay on the lake another day or hang out with the family another day. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to make this meeting and allowing us to reach quorum. I really appreciate that. And I do apologize for my little hiccups in the beginning. I was having some issues with some alarms. It always happens, you know, it's been quiet all morning until I have a meeting. So I apologize for the rough start. Any other comments? All right. Well, Mr. Rivera, do you have a comment?
None. None, thank you.
Okay. Well, hearing none, then with that, I will go ahead and close out agenda item number 18 and open agenda item number 19. This is adjournment. This is for discussion and possible action. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is
I make that motion.
there a second?
This is Don Feld, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, with that, the September NTECC meeting is adjourned at, looks like 14:42. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it, and you have a great day.